Alright guys, let's do another quick video. So yeah, I've been working on kind of like some of like the general like ecosystem, and you guys have seen before like, hey, how like grass works. This game is like really kind of, it's a cozy adventure game with spooky elements, but it is kind of taking some of the stuff that, if you're playing like a Stardew Valley or like a farm game, it's like really farmy. And I love a lot of elements of those games, but I also really love like um, more adventure games, not necessarily like a Zelda, but even like classic 2000s games, whether it be like Fable or Psychonauts, but also Halo, because have you seen that you can get on and off of a vehicle that can go off of sweet jumps, and that's a core mechanic. It's almost like I spent 10 years of my life only loving the Warthog and some of the other elements. So, yep, surprise, spoiler, this is my Warthog of my dreams. It's E.T. and Ecto 1 and also a little bit of Peter Pan. What do I mean by that? So, yeah, later you're going to be able to beautify gardens and things like that, but you don't get to own them because you're a child and children can't own property. I didn't make the 80s or the 90s or the rules of capitalism. But one thing that was really important to me is like, oh, cool. So, mowing lawns, leaves, all of the things that are yard work chores, and kind of glamorizing those. And so you guys have seen like my pretty leaves and stuff before, but what you might not have seen if you look in the lower corner is now he eats them. So Bu and like kind of like working this into the ecosystem while you can play with the leaves and everything else, and just like feeding the baby can bring you a little bit of joy. Spoon feeding them into his mouth will do things for all parties involved, but kind of working out my unconventional RPG. And so one of which is that our boy here loves yard waste. You're feeding him. He's a growing ghost baby, and he also expends a lot of energy to do moon jumps. So now everything in the world you can kind of interact with on multiple levels. But they also feed into Bu, and that flying ability that you saw me do, this is now kind of tied to it. And so there are times where he's not going to be able to use his abilities, but also time where you don't have the energy. But one of the sweet core tenets is like, what if crop circles were actually just made by ghost shopping carts, and they were just trying to do donuts? And then you looked at them from space and you can see the shapes that you were making. And so I'm using more energy than I mean to cut this grass, but there are times where you have to mow lawns for money, because kids like money and not just eating grass. Where does it go? And similarly, when I eat these leaves, I actually have a little counter, which this did other things before, but now no matter which tree I go to, I can kind of accumulate, and when I hit 100, a little child thing, I've actually doubled my speed, so this is just me messing with the early parts of a power-up, and now I can kind of like do more flying up until that goes. And I have it on a 10-second timer for now, but that's just because I was like testing the other features of it. That placeholder music's getting a little crazy. So doing a little shallow jump, this doesn't really cost you anything, but we'll kind of get into that fun ET time of night. But as I collect leaves as well, when I hit 100 each time, my little emotional health is going up, because Bu loves to eat leaves. It's fun to feed the baby. And right now I don't have like a limit on this, so I can actually get crazy. So now I have like 2,000. And so I can do way more jumps than I'm going to allow players to do, but I'm expending this energy now. But every time I do this, that little pink bar, my emotional health bar, my happiness / fear incarnate, is going up. And now that I'm at 100, even if I were to burn off all of this energy, this now recharges faster. So even though now this bar is only going to charge up to about the 50% mark, actually recharges fast. So now I can float. And so we're starting to get into that territory of just kind of having a little bit more of a chill time and getting into the magic of kind of doing this. So as you like level up your character over time, but also just daily as you're kind of going through the loop and kind of like feeding and meeting these kids' needs, you'll be able to kind of mix it together and get that majesty of flight. Flight isn't, like your normal, it's not an airplane, it's not a fighter jet. It's this, if you can tell by like the music, I just want kind of the magic of, a classic movie, like kids like going off sweet jumps and hurting themselves, right? If we were playing as these kids who have been like ragdolling everywhere, right? If I like fall over and like hurt myself. Then the opposite of that, right, is actually having the ability to kind of circumvent that. And so our kids get to be clumsy, trying to get them all into one area, and using things like garbage cans to shield themselves. Falling over, right, and tripping over everything, and just kind of that clumsiness of youth. The way this is going to work is like you can never, you're never going to do a flip on purpose, but you can do a flip or a somersault by catching and recovering yourself, and that's kind of like the ungracefulness of it is kind of like built into the clumsy but cool nature of kids pulling something off awesome. And so then when you mix that with our shopping cart, which I've implemented this ability so when you're going up over curbs, it automatically bounces up over them, so the things that kind of kind of get in the kids' way, you can actually kind of leverage this. And so if I mix this with the hover, let's see if we can get a good one going. I can even just do little street crossings. And so just building it in, so it's not about like making like a masterful Mario platformer. It's letting you like make your own fun and find sweet jumps, and then eventually I'm gonna have all like the jump counter, and you're gonna see your stats go up, but as you like go down jumps, and then you just don't touch the ground again. And so I want this feeling, and then I'm gonna be working in when you actually hit stuff, and you're gonna be able to bounce off of things and have a little bit of a ping pong element to kind of keep you going. But yeah, the idea is just to, you're gonna do yard work, go on adventures, and solve things for people, and dodge adults and the government probably, because if you're making crop circles with your UFO, I'm not gonna like that as much. But also, hey, Santa sled, flying on rooftops. I'm gonna be working out all of making this better, because this is just a placeholder house, but when I actually build my things to spec, I'll be able to get them working the way that I want, and then just chaining this together, and just having a real adventure of a time. And so, this is kind of like Nightcrawlers as it stands today. Where are my boys at? I'll throw that down, and he'll come after me. Let's go over here. Let's feed the baby. So again, I don't have water yet, so my water gun is just air, but leaf blower. And if you you'll be able to fly, and they'll be attached eventually. Anyway, welcome to Nightcrawlers.